Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Can I Have a Word with You, where we take a single word or a phrase and we think about it, we talk about it, we align a scripture with it, and then we say, what does it mean? What are the struggles? What's the messiness in this word? And how, though, can we step forward? And how can we do something just by taking the power of a single word to possibly change our words, change our mindset, and ultimately change our behavior, our results, and our outcomes, all for the glory of being the person that God's intended us to be. So, Bruce Pulver, author of the Chatter, Our Words Matter, proud co-host with Heather Carter on this amazing day that we're going to record. So, Heather, how are you today? And it's great to see you.
Yeah, well, I'm doing good. I'm at a new location today. I have an office. My real estate office is we have a spot in a little town outside of Springfield. So I'm here working today. No one is really ever here. So sometimes I like to be here on site in case someone walks in, but it's also a good chance to do stuff like this and be somewhere different. So
awesome. Well, last week we kind of did one on my own. You had some things that you were doing, and they're kind of fun sometimes to do as on our own, but it's always good to get the banter, the back and forth of what a word might mean to us. And we landed on a specific word today that was on my heart last week, and it was the word being sturdy. And there's another kind of a slang phrase that came with that. I think it was when I was getting ready to do laundry or something. It was sturdy. It's dirty. But then I landed on it's sturdy. So I kind of back and forth. That's kind of the way my mind works with words. And it really meant a lot of different things to me. Am I sturdy? What does it take to become sturdy? Why do we need some sense of sturdiness in our life? What happens when we don't have it? What sort of guidance should we look for in creating a life that has more sturdiness to it? So that's sort of where I was thinking when I was coming up with that word, because I do think it's important to be pliable and flexible, but at the same time, not just blown over and sort of without a rudder in life.
Yeah, I was looking through what you wrote after each letter in our little acrostic there. So I think we should just go through each one because, sometimes we have an overarching theme that, I don't know, it's kind of almost the same thing as you go through, and then we can unpack the word at the end. But this one has, I think, some different nuances to each phrase there that might lend itself to unpacking it in a little different way.
Well, I'll start with a verse and I will break it down. And I think you've got one that you want to bring that has relevance as well. So why don't we do that? So for me, my life verse that helps me reinforce, and I think about it, putting the braces on and kind of saddling up and making life is stronger, is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. With all your heart, you must trust in the Lord and not on your own judgment. Well, hello, Bruce. Maybe that's something that causes me to be in the ditch sometime when I say, no, it's all about my judgment and I know what to do here. Always let him lead you and he will clear the road for you to follow. And, my other visual that I think we've talked about is just that gravel path and, walking side by side, hand in hand with Jesus, and just knowing that God is in charge of laying the gravel on that path. So for me, that's what sturdy kind of represents is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And as I wrote the word sturdy, and if this is your first time being on this crazy podcast of Can I Have a Word with You, we take a word, we break it down vertically, we just look at the letters of the word and say, how can we extract a conversation, extract some meaning of the word, maybe banter a little bit about maybe differences in what that might mean. And then when we leave, what can we take? What can folks take from the word? And so for me, sturdy was a solid base and grounding. Like that might be rules of the game. That might be as how you bring your children up and raise them with certain values and guidelines and behaviors and do's and don'ts and that sort of thing. So that was my S, was solid base and grounding.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because we were talking earlier, you and I were about real estate stuff, which has kind of been an overarching consistent theme for me over the last few weeks. A lot of stuff going on. But one of the things that as I'm showing houses that we comment on a lot is, especially if the house might not be as cute as they wish it was, we'll say, well, it has good bones, or it's a solid house. It's solid. And basically, and then a lot of times that's true. Like, it may not be adorable yet. It may not be upgraded and updated yet, but it's got good bones. It's solid. There's a good base. And you can build on that. If you just, the cosmetic stuff can come later, but you need a house that is solid. And I've been in plenty of houses that are adorable, and people miss the fact that there's a lot of janky things about it, or maybe that's not on a good foundation. And so I think that is important for something to be sturdy in our faith and in our families, that we need to build it on a solid foundation of, and we believe that that's Jesus.
Yes.
And what he wants for our life.
Absolutely. So a starting point, maybe it's like the foundation. The T is the life tests will come. So just because we have a strong foundation doesn't mean the weather's not going to hit it, right? You put the footers in on a fence, get them nice and strong. You put the fence up. That doesn't mean that it will not be exposed to the elements. So I think in being sturdy, you think about it sometimes. You look at, I don't know, let's maybe use a football analogy. You look at that offensive line that's there to protect the quarterback when he or he comes back to, throw a pass. Well, they have to kind of lean into that, and they have to expect that those other opponents are going to want to, tackle that quarterback. So they're ready for it. But I think a lot of times being sturdy, we're not always ready for what hits us. Like, we're not braced for it. Those bam moments, or those woe is me possibilities, right? So I think having a foundation allows us sometimes to, I don't say counterpunch, but okay, now that the winds have come through, we didn't expect them. What do we need to do to refortify? So that's really what I was meaning by the life tests will come, especially those that are unexpected.
Well, I like, actually, maybe you can read the next two, because those, to me, those three kind of go together pretty well. You have the U is usually unexpected.
Right.
And then the R is ready for the storms.
That's right.
And those are all three kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where life is going to happen. We're not going to necessarily know what those things are. Yeah, we plan for them. We work for, we set our goals, we go after them, we stay focused, etc. Yet there's always that bump. It didn't, doesn't, like, I think who was it that said, life's great to have a plan until you get punched in the face. Mike Tyson, right? Everybody has a plan until that first punch. So that's sort of what those three letters come. The tests will come. They're usually unexpected. And are we ready for those storms? So the D, I think I want to hand that over to you after I say what this is.
Wait, no, I have some things to say on those other ones.
Yeah, go, bring it.
Yeah, so in Springfield, in this whole area, we've had some really major storms in the last month or so, I'd say, maybe 2 months. We've had multiple houses in one of the outlying towns with hail damage that have ruined roofs. Like, roofers, if you're a roofer, listen to me, come to Springfield. We need you to come and repair some roofs. And as a realtor, you're kind of laying in bed at night thinking through your listings and your pendings to think, oh my gosh, what's happening to that roof right now when this hail is coming. We've had like softball size hail that has shredded the area. So I was talking with another realtor the other day, and he was filling out insurance forms. And I said, what are you doing? He said, well, my car is ruined. There's about 100 dents in my car. And I need a new roof. I need new siding. I need new screens. And one of the things he said was, so it had happened that we'd had 3 different storms in this area that all produced this terrible hail. So every time it would happen, people thought, well, surely, it's never done this before. It's not going to do it again. And it would do it again. And that happened 2 or 3 times. And he said he actually left his truck in the driveway and went on vacation and was like, we've just had 2 major storms. What's going to happen? And he sat there on his Nest screen watching his car just get pulverized. and ruined by hail. And I guess I think of that because, when I had leukemia, I remember I had this misconception that, oh, this really big bad thing happened. So, like, I've been there, I've done that, I survived. So now things should be easy after that. I don't deserve anything more. I already did something really hard. And how many of us go through our lives thinking like we just had the worst year of our lives, and it just keeps coming. How can this, I just got sick, I just had cancer, and now there's addiction in my family, and then my father-in-law dies, and God, seriously, what is, is this just going to keep coming? And one of the things that God really taught me over the last few years is that it sounds simplistic, but life happens, things happen. It's what we do with those things, how we let God redeem those things that matter. So that's a long story, I know, but hopefully
Yeah.
you can kind of get in people's minds that we can be prepared, and we prepare our hearts and our minds. Like I always say, you can't cram for serenity. You gotta work at it daily so that when the storms come, and they will, and sometimes they'll come back to back to back to back, like these Chatham storms, are you still can be ready in your spirit for what's coming, because unfortunately life just comes.
Yeah. There's, in all of what I heard you say, one word that jumped out at me was choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, have to learn about that there are choices as to how we perceive, how we proceed, how we look at situations as a lesson, or I often I'll say a woe is me or a wow is me. And I'm not saying that a tragedy should be, wow, look what, that's so awesome that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some sense of, it's testing what my foundation is, or it's showing me my foundation has some areas to be sturdied up, if that's a way of saying sturdy. And it's an opportunity for us to grow closer in our
Mm-hmm.
faith, lean more on our faith. Facing anything insurmountable, trust Him, is my acrostic for faith. And I never want this to sound like, hey, look for bad stuff, or step
Mm-hmm.
out of the way and feel lucky. I'm saying that when those things happen, we have choices. Whether, for me, it's job loss multiple times, whether it's loss of a child, which we had in between Peyton and Emily. It's like, which way do you want to go? But it's not just an innate natural thing. I think it's like you said, you can't just cram for serenity, you can't cram for gratitude. It's through the difficulties that we can choose to cultivate, tend to that part of the garden, fertilize that. Why? Because we're also going to have a neighbor, or a classmate, or someone at church, or someone at work, that's going to get that 3 hailstorms after you did, or that's going to get that diagnosis after you did. And I think God wants us there to help them. So how do we choose to go through something? Because it will be used again.
Yeah. Well, like it's a Bible verse, but also a kid's song about, the wise man builds his house upon the rock, and the rains came down. And that's the part we play in life, is that we invest ourselves in building our house, building our security, our sturdiness comes from building it on Jesus and on that rock that will hold firm. You know, I remember reading a quote in one of my daily readings recently. It's like God has his part and we have ours. And our part is to show up every day and do the reading and do the praying and surrendering. Fly after me in here. But in my daily reading thing, it said, the little quote was, trust in God, but tie your camel to a tree. Basically, like, yeah, trust in God, but put your car in the garage when you go on vacation. That's your part. You can do that. There are things we can do, and then there's things that there are most things only God can do, but we have a part to play, and it's put your car in the garage, show up, get up in the morning, do your reading, do some praying, acknowledge your day, and give it to God before you go, and all those things. So
100%. Yeah, you want to get fit.
Yeah. Like,
There's
don't
some
pray
action.
about it. Get your butt out of bed and go to the gym.
Yeah,
God probably, he'll help you, but you got to do something.
absolutely. So we'll go to the why then. We've gotten through STURD, stirred. The why is yes, it is with my faith. So when you talk about does your anchor hold is the D. I think we didn't get to that. And then yes, it's with my faith. The anchor. What do we anchor to? And I know you've got some thoughts on that.
Yes, I was saying today, one of the reasons I am at this other office is because it's very quiet. There's no people here, and more importantly, no distractions for me. I don't look across my house and think, oh my gosh, I really need to start that laundry, or I really should reorganize that drawer. I can find all kinds of reasons to be distracted. So there's nothing here that I can do to distract myself. And so I'm writing and working on a talk I'm giving in a few weeks at a women's retreat. And it's the basis for this women's retreat is Hebrews 6:19. And it says, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. And that is just our salvation, our hope in Jesus, that he's going to get us through what we need, whatever it is we need to go through. So,
Yeah.
I think that was an accident that I looked that up. I hadn't read what you had written yet, and so I looked it up. I was like, kind of gives me that little Twilight Zone feeling, like dee 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 dee.
Kind of fits. Yeah, it's difficult to always be sturdy. It's that from a guy's perspective, it's that, I'm the tough guy. I got the answer. I can lift that. I'll get that out of the way. I'll fix this problem. For me, I learned the hard way, plumbing and electric. I'm not the guy. I don't be sturdy around plumbing and electric because those aren't things that I have a skill at, right? And it takes some time to develop those kinds of awarenesses. But, trying to develop a sturdy foundation on our own there's limits. Like, without God leading it, I have felt so much more sturdy, not in that I have the answers, but that I have less worry, anxiety, and stress when I know now more so, and I lean more so into, I'm not doing this alone. God has a bigger plan for me than I can even imagine. Have faith in that, trust that. That's where kind of the nails go into the foundation. The nails go into to make the boards hold up. It's an active step. It takes some growth and takes time and setbacks and all those kinds of things. But man, there's no other journey I want to be on.
No. And if we trusting in God and his plan for us, and that if we are surrendered to him, that he will, I love it, he will work all things out for our good. That doesn't mean that we can do all things. That means that all the things that he has for us to do will work out for our good. But that I remember Oswald Chambers is an author I read a lot, and he talks about how, sometimes you ask a person, how they're doing, and they say, or a Christian person, how they're doing, and they'll say, oh, I'm good under the circumstances. And he says, what in the world is a Christian doing under the circumstances?
Yeah.
And that's what I picture sturdy is like under or in all circumstances, we're sturdy, that our faith is solid, even when things around us can sometimes look like a hot mess and we are completely out of our element or out of control. That trusting that God is in control is what sturdy looks like to me.
And that's growth, right? That's day in, day out. That's not a switch that we flip. At least for me, it's something that I feel like the faith is a muscle that has to be exercised, and I'm just finding the more I lean on it, there's no other way to lean. And because he's created opportunities in places where the storm felt really bad, he's carried me through them. And just you got to ask him to guide you, and then listen, then just pay attention, right? Concentration and focus. To me, one of my golf instructors said, concentration and focus will make you tighten up. He said the real key to playing golf well is to pay attention. What's the wind doing? Is the ball going to fly as far because of the humidity? What's the carry that you need to hit the ball by yardage? Have that information exactly in your mind. Pay attention to what's going on around you. And that, I think, has a parallel to our faith, is just paying attention and stepping in.
Good word.
Wow. So we broke down sturdy. We'll say it one more time and then we'll take everybody out. Sturdy, solid base and grounding. T, the life tests will come. U, usually unexpected. R, ready for the storms. D, does your anchor hold? And that verse again was
Hebrews 6:19.
Fantastic. We'll put that in the show notes. And the Y is, yes, it is with my faith. So this was a sturdy conversation. I enjoyed going back and forth on this one, Heather. And
I needed this one today. I've been feeling not so sturdy, so this is good.
Well, it's also good to maybe lean on someone else that you're close to help you kind of reinforce while you're building on your sturdiness. So to get in touch with Heather, you can reach her at heathercarterwrites.com. Her 2 books are there. You can reach out to her for speaking engagements. We both take the content out of these podcasts and build our workshops and our themes and things of that nature. For me, it's Above the Chatter, Our Words Matter, or just call me, 404-273-8334. We can connect and talk about what you're looking for in your events, looking for a speaker, looking for a workshop leader. So until next time, Heather, it's great to talk with you as always. Can I have a word with you?
You too. See you, Bruce.
Hey, guys. Okay, take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.